we're going to be building a fintech app using React and both Node.js as the backend. And basically, I've currently built the front end, and I can basically log in into the backend, into the dashboard, as you can see right here. So we're going to be building this. We're going to be able to transfer, receive alerts, and buy airtime and the rest like that. So we're going to be building this with React, right? And we're going to be building this with the backend is going to be what? Be Node.js, right? So what I'm going to do right now, guys, is that I'm going to drop the React frontend on my GitHub account so you guys can have it. But what we are going to do is that we're going to build the backend from the scratch, right? You can see I'm going to teach you how to build a very, very protective backend for your fintech app, right? If you're, example, if you're a Node.js developer or you're working for a fintech company, or you're working for any kind of organization that does with transaction in any way, make sure this video is going to be so good for you to do what to watch. And this video is going to be in multiple series, right? And that's how it's going to be. So right now you can see I have my React here. Everything is actually set up. I'm still going to be adding more pages to it as we grow this project, right? But from now on, we're going to be doing the backend first. So if you want to follow me on the front end, right, I'm going to put the GitHub link below so that you can basically have the front end, but I'm not going to put the backend with it because it's the backend that we're going to focus on, right? How to build it successfully, how to make sure your database is currently okay and everything is fine, right? How to do all of those things like that. So let's begin. So right now, I'm going to have a free or an empty folder right here, you can see, and I'm going to create a folder right in this place. I'm going to call this folder go demo backend, like this. Go demo backend, like this. So after I've created this folder right here, the next thing I'm going to do now is that I'm going to go and stop the server for this one that I have right here. Remember, I have built the backend from scratch, but I'm just teaching you guys how to build it, how to just build it very, very well, right, from the scratch. All right, guys. So if I've done that, I'm going to enter this empty folder, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go straight to my terminal that I have right here. So I'm going to go straight to my terminal. I'm going to do code space dots like that, and this is going to open up my VS Code for me. Alright, so it has actually opened up my VS Code for me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cancel this one I have right here. So I'm going to cancel it. You can see I've canceled the backend. So we are building the backend for this project from the scratch. We're going to add protective layers whereby attackers can actually, try and gain access into it. So let's start. Alright, so let's begin. So you can see I have my backend here, and make sure when you download, when you install the front end on your system, make sure you create a backend project, then you can start working on it. So this is going to be an empty stuff right here. I'm going to open up my terminal right here. And for this video, I'm going to be using my SQL, right? I mean, you can use MongoDB if you prefer to do so. I actually like using my SQL for almost all of my projects, right? And by the way, guys, I am currently using this MySQL community client right here. If you have PHP My Admin, you can also use it also. It's very, very easy. But if you're using my SQL command line, it's also very, very simple to use too, right? So I'm going to switch this thing right here to git bash. I'm just going to do git bash multiple times like this. And the first thing I'm going to do right now, guys, is that I am going to create a file called server.js like this. So this server.js is going to be our entry file, right? It's going to be our entry file. And after I'm going to do that, I'm going to come and say npm. I'm going to come and say npm init-y. So I'm going to do npm init-y to just have my packages and everything, kind of like set up for this project, right? So if I've done that, on the front end side, I successfully kind of like put in this node.txt, as you can see. So make sure you kind of like install all of these things that are following what's here. So I'm going to copy what I have right here. I'm I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to come and do what, paste it right here too. So I'm going to hit enter. If you've done that successfully, just make sure you just come and copy this one right here also. You copy it and just place it in the second one right here. Alright guys, so it's currently successfully installing. So the first thing I'm going to do, the next thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to start creating some necessary folders on the backend projects. I'm going to create a folder called config. For the first one, I'm going to create another folder called modus. The second one, I'm going to create another folder called middlewares. That's the third one. I'm going to create another folder called routes, because we need to have our routes. I'm going to create another folder called utils, like this. All right, so these are the necessary folders that we need, and all of these folders here are going to have some certain functions that they do for us, right? So let's start. So right now, if you are currently using PHP or you are currently using MySQL as, you know, MySQL command line clients, like the way I'm using, right? You are going to have to do what? Create a database. Either you're using MySQL or any form of MySQL command line interface, anyone you prefer using. So, but this is what I'm currently using, right? You can see if I come here straight to my Windows here and I type in my S, you can see I'm successfully using my SQL command line client. I like using it, it's far more simple than PHP my admin. You know, XAMPP kind of like give this issue almost all the time. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do now is that in the front end here, I'm going to create some of these, you know, tables that I have right here. I'm going to copy all of these tables I have right here. I'm going to copy everything like this. So I've copied everything like that. So if I've done that, I'm just going to go straight here. By the way, let me cancel what I have here. Let me bring this here. All right, so in here, I'm going to create a database. I'm going to say create database banking app. Okay, so I've created a database called banking app. I'm going to say use banking app. And I'm going to paste all of this stuff that I have right here. So I've successfully done all of this stuff here. If I come and say show tables, you can see it shows all of these tables are here. So we have transaction, we have users, and we have what? We have the wallets. All right, so let's minimize this. And so while all of these things are successfully installed, right? So we can just start our, you know, server, right? So we'll say nodemon server.js like this, and we can successfully begin the stuff right now. So let's start. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do right now is that I am going to create a database file right here. That's the first thing we need to do. Connect to our database, and also I need to create another kind of file, which is the env file, which we're going to put all of our you know, security stuff inside of it. So I'm going to come here. System kind of like syst. I'm going to say env like this. So let's wait for my env file to be created. All right, good. So I'm going to put in some things here. I'm going to say equals to development like this. We're going to need it. I'm going to have my ports. It's going to be equals to 5,000. You can set it to 2,000 or any number you want to. I'm going to say db right here. db hosts is equals to localhost. Localhost, we have db ports is equals to what? 3306. And we're having db name is actually equals to the root. So db name is going to be what exactly? Banking app. I think that is the stuff. I'm going to have db user. db user is going to be equals to routes to roots. I'm going to be having the db pass. So I actually have a password to it. So password equals, so I'm going to say this. then this. So I mean, if I want to add more information, I can come and add them to my env. Then after that, I'm going to go here and create a file called database.js right here. So in this database file, right, we're going to be doing all of our security information for database inside of this place. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to say .env is going to be equals to require what .env, because we are using .env like that, and I'm going to say .env equals to what config like this here. All right, so I'm going to use the Sequelize from MySQL. So I'm going to say Sequelize. I have to spell that correctly. Spell that. Okay, good. I'm going to say require from the package Sequelize like that. All right. So since I'm done, I'm going to do a very, very simple add check here. So add check for sec. All right, so I'm going to do a simple if statement here. In this if statement, I'm going to say process. So I'm touching the env right now. So process dot env dot right. The node env is equals to. Go to do not. To production. So if you are currently on production. So production, I'm going to say and process dot env node underscore env. All right, so this is env dot what, the db name, and we're going to do this stuff here like this. All right, I test process dot env dot the db name like this. All right, so that's my if. So if that's going to happen, I'm going to do what, throw an error here below. So I'm going to do throw error, throw new error like this. And I'm going to say blocked non-production environment tried to connect to CRUD, to production what database. So you can actually basically change the stuff you have right here if just for security purpose, right? You can change it if you want to. So basically after that one, I'm just going to do a very simple console log right here. So I'll say console log env. I'm going to have process.env.node this like that. All right. So having that one, I'm just going to have this one also. I'm going to call this one data db. So yeah, this one right here is going to be what, the db name like this. All right. So right now I'm not done. I still have a lot to do. So I'm going to come and create a variable, Sequelize variable. Set e that equals to the new like this. Then inside of here, I'm going to successfully do what, have this db. I'm going to have this db name, this process db name right here. I'm going to place it right here. And if I'm going to come here and I'm also going to change it to what, to the DB what user. And I'm also going to change to the what, to the DB what pass. So I'm basically trying to connect. Then after that one, right there, I'm going to come here and I'm going to create an object right here. So I'm going to come and say hosts, right? So host, we have the DB hosts, we have ports, we have the DB port. So the DB port is either this or 3306, depending on your server on production. 3306. All right, so if I've done that right now, I'm going to do the dalet. This is also very, very important. And I'm going to say my SQL like this. I've done that, I'm going to do the dalet module. So it's kind of like require us to use my SQL2 like this. So after that one, I'm going to do login. And I'm going to set this login to what? To false. Login to false. And after that one, I'm going to do a pull. So we don't actually have errors on, on servers and like that. So I'm going to say max is going to be 20. I'm going to have min is going to be 0. I'm going to have occur it's going to be 6,000. I'm going to have the ideal, which is going to be what, 1,000. I'm going to set it to 10,000 by the way. So what I've done now, so right here, I'm going to have a dalet option here. I'm going to say SSL. I'm going to set this thing to false for security what? For security's sake. All right. So if I've done this stuff all right here, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to create another variable called connect to DB. So I'm going to say Sequelize sake. I'm going to do my arrow function like this. I'm going to do a try and catch right here. I'm going to say await Sequelize dot authenticate like this. I'm going to do a console console.log, and I'm going to say database is working now. So after that, I'm going to do a simple catch like this. I'm going to do an error like this. I'm going to say process dot what exits. I'm going to set it to 1. And also I'm going to copy this stuff here. I'm going to place it down here. I'm going to say database is not working. So I can also just basically do something like error.message just to actually grab the message. So this is our protective stuff right here. So after this one here, we need to kind of like export it so we can basically use it in the server.js. Do you understand? I'm going to say module export is equals to Sequelize and connect DB like this. All right, so we are successfully done with this part here. So I'm pretty sure this is going to work because we've created this. Let me basically add all of this stuff here together like this together. Add it here together. And it here together. All right, so since we are basically done now, so let's go straight to our server.js. So that's like the main entry of our entire application. So first thing we need to do is to import the framework of Express, right? So those are const Express is equals to require Express like that. All right. So the next I'm going to do, I'm going to say cause. We're going to need it so we can protect our backend successfully. Require cause like that. Let me bring this here so we don't have any errors. All right. All right, so basically the next thing to do now is After we've done that, we're going to say const again. We're going to have the .env. .env is equals to the require of .env, like this. I'm going to have the cookie praiser. Remember, we installed all of these things in the beginning of the video. Cookie parser. We'll have require cookie parser, right? So we're going to have that one. So this allows your backend to read cookies from the request, from the incoming request. That's why you need to have it there. We're not using JWT. All right. So if you have that, we're going to have the elements also. So equals to the require. We're going to have elements like that. So this element, what it basically does is that this adds security. It adds security headers to protect your backend from common attacks. So you're actually building a fintech stuff, you need to add all of these things that are actually here. So if you've done that now, the next thing to do now is to add your express limits, rate limits. So I'm going to come and I'm going to say this rate limits is equals to require express rate limits T right here. Is my element actually correct? We have HELMT. I think I'm having an error. Can't find module element. Let me check my package.json. Did I successfully install the element? Let me check. Oh, I didn't add it to it. So you guys can actually install it on your own, by the way. All right, guys. So I've successfully installed my elements. You can see right here. I've done so. I've installed it. I've also installed express rate limit. So I do the same thing also. All right. So as we are doing that, we are going to continue. So the next thing to do now is, since we have our rate limits right here, the next thing to do now is to bring in the database that we have, right? So connection to database. I can't spell database. Imagine connection to database file. All right, so let's start. So say const. We have the Sequelize. So I'm just going to come here and copy what I have here. Just to sort of copy and spelling all the time. And we have the connect DB. So all this is going to be equals to require. I'm going to say this /config/database.ds. Always put your .ds there, please. All right, guys. So if you've done that now, what the next thing to do is to load the what? Load the env. Right? Load the env. So I'm going to say .env.config. So it's better you load it, right? So if you've done that, I'm not going to do what? See, app is actually equals to express here. So I'm going to say create express app like this. So create express app like this. So the next thing to do now to add more security layer to our entry file, right, is to add the proxy, the trust proxy, right? So this is actually very useful when you deploy your Node.js platform to places like Render, Railwheel, places like Nginx or cPanel, right? So let's start. So I'm going to say app.sets. I'm going to say trusts proxy like this. And also, so this is useful for your backend if it's gonna be deployed on places like render, cpanel, and places like what, like Vercel. You can actually deploy your Node.js on Vercel. All right, so if you've done that now, and I'm also going to do another security check again, which is the X powered by, which is basically just to help us do what, to hide our express signature from from attackers, right? So we're going to say app.disable. Sorry guys about it. I have a mux here beside my house. Powered dash by this. So what this actually does is to kind of like so attackers don't know what your express signature actually is. So I'll say hide your express signature hide your express signature. All right, since we've done this right now, we are also going to set the element, right? So I'm going to come and say app.use. I'm going to say elements. We have elements here like this. I'm going to say cross origin policy, which is basically this one, resource policy, which is what cross, as you can basically see this stuff right here like this. Let me have this like this here like this. So I'm going to set this thing to false. So what this one is actually doing is that it's kind of like keep your app safe from things like sniffing, XSS attack, and the rest like that. So I'll say keeps your app safe from click jacking, protection, meme sniffing, protection, and basic XSS related headers protection. All right, so you need to basically have this thing like this. The way I actually have it set it up, you need to have it like that also. All right, so I'm going to do our cross configuration also. We're going to say app.cross. I'm going to say use. Basically, it's called use. So here it's going to be cause like this. Okay, so basically what this one does is, just to make sure it's just your front end, right? So I'll say please do not use origin asterisk, it is bad. And also I'm going to say after that one, I'm going to tell you that cookies. So because we're actually using cookies, right? We're actually using cookies for it. So this is basically your course configuration right here. All right, so I'm going to say origin. So the origin here is going to be process.env.client. I can't spell my clients, right? Oh my God, I can't spell clients. So client URL, this, and I'm going to say HTTP. So basically, I'm just going to cover this stuff here. I'm just going to come and cover this stuff right here. All right, so I'm going to say credentials. I'm going to say the true. So if you are your front end on your server, you can just have it right here, the client URL, then it kind of like connects to it. So if you've done that, I'm going to have my methods I'm going to use basically. So to get, I'm going to use posts. I'm going to use puts. I'm gonna use patch. I'm gonna use delete. All right, so if I've done that, I'm gonna do allow headers content type. I guess I spelled that correctly. Yeah, I think I did. All right, so if you've done that, the next thing we need to do again is to add another protection layer to our entry file, right? Which is the body parser. So I'm going to say app.use like this, right? So I'm going to say express.json like this, and I'm going to give it a certain limit because the limit, I'm going to set this limit to 10 kilobytes. To 10 KB. Sorry, it is KB. Yeah. So basically, this will protect your server. Please will protect your server from a very large requests body attack, right? From an hacker. So make sure you actually have this. It's actually very, very important to have it. Then after that one, I'm going to have the cookie parser also. So I'm going to say app.use. We're going to have app.use. It's a cookie parser, yeah. Oh, I forgot to load it right there. So if I've done this now, so I'll say this will let you use your cookies instead of JWT. We're not using JWT at all, we're using cookies, right? So basically, after that, I'm going to have my rate limiter. So this is how I'm going to build a fintech backend from scratch. You can see I've now started doing the controllers and making sure everything is kind of like in order, right? Because we're dealing with people's money right here. So I'm going to say const, I'm going to say API limiter is equals to the rate limits we have up there. And right, I'm going to have some object inside of it. I'm going to have Windows amps 2015 asterisk. I'm going to set this to 60 minutes. Every 60 minutes, 1000. So basically what this one is just every 15 minutes, right? So like that. So I'm going to say max is what's going to be 100, right? So meaning max 100 requests per IP, right? 100 requests per IP. So I'm going to set in a message right here. And this message is going to have a message here too. So here is going to be like too many requests from your site. Please basically change this error message to something better, right? This is just a test. So I'm going to say standard. So standard headers. I'm going to set it to true. I'm going to set legacy. Legacy headers, I'm going to set it to false. Like that. So right here. So I'll apply my rates limiter. Yeah, I'm going to say app use / API, which is going to be the API. So, for every request I kind of like come in, it's going to go through this path that I have right here, right? All right. So next thing to do now is that I'm going to load my modules. I'm going to load it, right? So just come and say require this / modules. So we are not done, basically. We're not actually done. So the next thing to do now is basically I think we kind of like have an error. What is wrong? My models this slash models, right? Sorry. All right, good. Okay, we are going well. So next thing to do. Oh my God, sorry. So next thing to do right now is a clean error message. All right, so let's start. So say app.use is this. It's going to be like request. We're going to have a response like this. I'm going to have a rest.status. Say 44.json. The message inside of here. Say routes not found. So you need to basically have this stuff right here in your entry file, right? All right, so you also need to have a global error stuff, right? A global error thing, but we're going to add that one basically what's later, right? So let's continue. So I'm going to have my database. I'm going to say const my ports is equals to process.env.ports or what 5,000. So I'm going to say connect the DB right here. So I'm going to say .then, it's like a promise, async. I'm going to have my arrow function right here. So say in development, Sequelize can create dates tables automatically. So basically in production, do not use alter true. Use migration instead. All right, so I'm going to say if so here is going to be basically what if node env production. I'm going to do an await to synchronize dot sync alter. Don't do this on production, please. You have to change it to false to true. And I'm right here. After that one, I'm going to do app.listing ports. Go to console. Go demo payments is running. All right, so basically we are now done with our with our entry file right here, right? All right, guys, so we're having an error right here in this when I was loading my modules. Basically nothing is kind of like inside of it yet, so that was giving us an error. But now you can see our database is working and everything. We've connected to our database successfully, which is very, very important, and our entry file is very, very well protected. So in the next episode, we are going to start working on the middlewares and the controllers and the rest. So if you actually like this video, please give a like and share to your friends and workplace. I create hacking videos, how to protect your APIs from hackers and the rest. See you later in the next episode.